Hey, this is Jessica Parker Kennedy from The Flash, and you are listening to the Man Cave Chronicles.
Welcome to another episode of the Man Cave Chronicles.
Welcome to the party, pal!
You're my boy, Blue!
Yo, Adrian! I did it!
A podcast with interviews of amazing guests from the world of pop culture.
Oh, yeah!
TV.
Nice!
Movies.
Oh, I love the movies!
Comedy and more. From deep inside the Man Cave, your host, Elias.
Jessica, welcome to the cave.
Thank you so much for having me.
And thanks for coming back on the show as well.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
How are things with you? What's new with you?
Nothing. I'm just back in Los Angeles, very happily so. We were shooting The Flash in Vancouver for 10 months, so it's just really nice to be back home and in LA and relaxing a little bit.
That's great. We'll talk about season 5. It just ended a few weeks ago. What are your thoughts on that? And let me tell you, the ending was we, as a Flash fan, we weren't happy.
Oh no! Oh no! Yeah, it was. I kind of wanted something tragic to happen because that's sort of what I like when I watch television. And I thought, oh my gosh, I hope something kind of like horrendous happens. I thought it was really sad, but I thought it was really beautiful and gut-wrenching all at the same time, which I think makes for really good television. So I'm really happy with the ending. And it was nice. Like, I've been getting a lot of messages from fans saying, like, thank you so much for a great season. You're awesome. And, I've just had a tremendous amount of positive feedback. I mean, people are sad that I'm gone, but very complimentary. So it's been really nice.
What has been the best reaction that you've had from a fan that you interacted with?
I mean, I like reading the messages from people, kind of on my DMs on my Instagram, and everybody's been really sweet. I don't really have a particular favorite one. Everyone's just been very cool about it.
All right. So during the season, what was your favorite episode that you were in?
Oh, that's a good question. I loved shooting, I would say 2 episodes. Ironically, they're both ones that Cass directed. I loved the 100th episode, which Tom Cavanaugh got to direct, which was really, really fun. I never guessed in a million years that I would get to be like such a big part of the 100th episode. I sort of thought they were going to be like, hey, Jess, here's an up-off because we got to, feature everyone else. But I got really lucky and got to be a huge part of it. So that was really, really fun. And then the episode, which was very much Nora's origin story that was directed by Danielle Panabaker, was also just really fun for me because I got to, show everybody what the history of, a little bit of what the history of, well, it's not technically the history, it's more like the future of Nora is, but how, sort of what it originally was supposed to happen to her in the future, so that was cool.
So you played Nora West-Allen XS. How would you describe her?
I think she's very, I think she kind of had a really nice arc this season. I think at the beginning, she's sort of very childlike. I mean, I think she's always childlike. She's childlike. She's whimsical. She's a kid that really, really wants to impress her dad more than anything else in the world, which I think is incredibly sweet. She just rushes into things and because she wants to, Nora's never been interested in like doing the work to get good. She just wants to be good. And I think it takes her, because she didn't think her dad had to work to be good. And then, after a while she understands that like, no, he did, he was totally klutzy and horrendous at the beginning like she is. And I think the best way to describe her is just like an interesting combination between adulthood and childlikeness.
Okay. So how did you prepare to play the role this season?
I didn't really, I always find, prep is a really personal thing. And I didn't feel like with this character, I particularly had to do a lot because at the end of the day, she's an amalgamation of a couple of characters. And I didn't want to overstudy, any of those characters. It's just, she's excess, but she's like her own version of excess, So, I just wanted to make sure that she had a nice balance of both of her parents, and I feel like the writing really complemented that. So the majority of, my prep had to do really just in the way that I decided to memorize the lines and deliver them at the end of the day, which was a really, really fun process for me every single episode.
So, how comfortable was it to wear the speed costume?
It's pretty comfortable. I mean, that show's got a little bit of money, so they definitely make every costume to fit you. They measure you and they build everything on a model that's kind of very similar to your body type. So that's really cool. So it fit perfectly. I mean, the hardest thing was we did a lot of night shoots and it rains a lot in Vancouver. So we were wet a lot, and kind of wearing wet leather is not a comfortable thing at all because it takes forever to dry. And even when it wasn't really raining, the set deck, the directors always really liked, I guess I should say the producers always really liked the way it looks when the ground is wet. So they were constantly wetting down the cement ground in Vancouver in the middle of the night for us to lay on, because we were always laying on the ground after, getting beaten up. And so, yeah, I would say when I was dry, everything was okay. But when my costume was wet, it was pretty uncomfortable.
Yeah. So to your two-part question, one was, how was the experience working with the cast of Flash, and how long did it take you to get comfortable with them?
Well, I was really nervous going in, because they are a real family, because they've been working together for, 4 whole seasons already. So I was pretty scared going into that I, wouldn't be accepted or wouldn't fit in with them. But they were all incredibly welcoming, and, we're like, if you need anything, if you want to talk about anything, we're here for you, and that was literally every single person on the cast. So I very quickly felt very, very welcomed. It was a really warm environment to come into, and I'm very thankful for that.
So in this past season, you had experience where you had to do balance the child-parent dynamic while you're the same age as your parent. You were the same age as your parents. How did that work?
Yeah, it's strange. I mean, I was wondering myself how that was going to go, but I think because mom and dad know that I'm their kid, it was weird at first for everybody, for all of us, but then they quickly become, they fall into the role of parents so easily, because of the way the show is written. So it worked really well. I ended up feeling all the time like I was their kid, and they ended up feeling like they were my parents, because they had to reprimand me so much, and I felt like, this is ridiculous. I'm an adult, and I can do this. So it worked. I thought the dynamic worked really well. I mean, there were so many times where I got in trouble, and I behaved like a kind of ridiculous teenager.
Yeah. How did it feel when he had to lock you up in the chamber when he found out you were working with Thawne?
Sorry, can you say that one again?
So how did it make you feel in that, I forgot what episode it was near the end where Flash...
Oh, yeah, when you locked me up in the pipeline.
Yes.
Yeah, that was, a really hard episode. Grant Gustin is a really good actor, so he's really, really good at playing angry and playing hurt. And so whenever something like that had happened in the past, he always got me, I was always like, oh my God, this is so intense. And that was the most intense scene we had together. I mean, he was just so devastated and disappointed and angry and hurt and confused. And he played that all so well and in such a real way when I was there with him on set that it was really difficult, yeah, when he looks at you with those disappointed eyes, you feel like you ruined everything. It's an awful feeling. So I guess it's great because it's awful.
So this season, you had obviously you had a huge part in it. Who was your favorite villain this year?
Good question. That is a really good question. I really liked the King Shark and Grodd episode, okay. Even though King Shark at the end of the day becomes a good guy basically, just because it was so absurd and ridiculous, and they weren't really there for us to act against them, and just the idea of a giant shark and giant gorilla fighting each other is pretty hilarious and wonderful. So for me, that was a really, really, really fun episode.
How good was Chris Klein this year playing that part also?
Chris Klein's one of my favorite people I've ever worked with. He's such a sweet, genuine, lovely, cool guy, and he's so incredibly inclusive and a hard worker, and he cares so much about, every job he gets. And it was just a pleasure having him. He was great at the part, and he's a great person. I really only have the most positive things to say about him.
Yeah. So what was it like shooting the scenes with Tom Cavanaugh as Sherlock and then Tom Cavanaugh as Thawne?
Yeah, he's amazing. I mean, Tom switches back and forth incredibly easily. What's most fun is when Tom was directing and he was playing multiple characters, and how quickly he can go from director to Tom to both other characters on the show. He just goes back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It seamlessly. So he's he's a bit of a genius. So it's really fun watching him do what he does.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he's great. That accent he does for Sherlock was fantastic.
It's hilarious. Yeah, he's hilarious.
Now, is there any actors in the Arrowverse that you would have loved to work with that you didn't get a chance to?
Oh man, yeah, I don't know. I love everybody in the Arrowverse. It would have been really fun. I mean, I was sort of really excited to do the crossover this year, and potentially work with Supergirl, and that didn't happen, and I was really sad. But it was also like I got to take a nice little break, so that was good too. So I don't know. I feel like everyone is so awesome at their jobs. Like everyone's been cast so well. So yeah, I don't know, just about anybody.
So we all know what happened to Nora. Did you know ahead of time what was going to happen to her?
Yeah, I knew. I didn't specifically know exactly what the ending was going to be, but I knew when I started there was going to be a distinct beginning, middle, and end for Nora, because I knew I wasn't staying on for longer than a season, but I didn't know specifically what was going to happen to her. I knew a lot of it, but I didn't know the very, very, very end.
Yeah. Describe the scenes that you were in when you were actually in the future talking to Thawne, like that one-on-one thing, and then you found out what his purpose was.
Yeah, those scenes were actually really annoying to shoot because we had plexiglass between us and neither of us could barely hear each other.
Really?
So it was a lot of kind of mouth. Yeah, it was a lot of, we could hear each other, but not very well, and Dawn, in those scenes spoke with like that really, really quiet voice. So it was a lot of lip reading on both of our parts, and, in the middle of rehearsals going, what? Wait, what? Wait, what? Where are we? What? So they're actually technically really difficult to shoot. So I actually kind of hated those days, but I also loved those days because I was with Tom all day, and he's really brilliant. And that dynamic between the two of them, I think, is really interesting and really fun and really scary.
Now, have the writers, I don't know if you can even say it, have the writers mentioned anything for you to possibly come back for episodes or a few episodes or as a different character?
I don't know. Yeah. I mean, I certainly haven't heard anything yet, but I would definitely be down to come back if there was a way I could come back. I mean, I don't necessarily see how that's possible, but if there was The Flash is in a lot of ways a bit of a soap opera. I mean, it's all magical and superheroes. I guess you never know. But no, I certainly haven't been approached about coming back.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about the scene at the end of The Flash, like right before you disappeared.
Yeah, we were shooting that at 4:00 in the morning, and we shot that whole scene for that whole sequence basically for 2 days out there, and it was sad, it was because it was the last couple of days of shooting for us. I don't know if our they had scheduled it like that on purpose so that the last day would be me disappearing, which was also our last day on set. But I think because it worked really well. It was an emotional night for me because I knew it would be my last night on The Flash, and at the same time we were doing all that stuff, but at the same time 4:00 in the morning and we were all exhausted. So it's such a filming The Flash is sort of this strange, wonderful, wacky experience.
What has it been like to experience the Flash fandom with the fans?
I was quite nervous because there was this silly reporter when I was at Comic-Con with them this year that was like, "Are you ready for the scrutiny? Have you prepared yourself for the scrutiny?" And I was like, "What?" Because I know comic book fans are very intense and devoted to their characters, and they're incredibly knowledgeable about the comics and what's gone on. And I knew because this character is kind of a mix of a couple of characters, I was a little bit scared and intimidated of them. I just, at the end of the day, I want to make the fans happy. And when you're doing this kind of role and this kind of project, the goal, in my opinion, is to make fans happy. So I was nervous, but everyone, for the most part, has been really nice. I only got one DM from somebody that said, "I'm glad you're not going to be on the show anymore."
Oh my God.
Nora Allen sucks. I know. No, but it's really funny. I mean, that kind of stuff makes me laugh. I usually assume it's like, younger people, or at least that's what I tell myself. I'm like, oh, some 12-year-old said that,
Yeah.
so it's okay. It just makes me laugh. But I've had everyone's been incredibly supportive and incredibly kind, and I have felt very, very welcomed by the fans into the world. So I guess maybe I did okay. If they're happy, I'm happy.
There you go. Now, what's the most exciting story that you can share with us that happened on set?
Probably the day that Tom Cavanaugh brought a ball to set, like he's a 5-year-old. He brought a ball to set, and in the middle of takes, Tom was basically Tom and Grant were off set. We were all a part of a really big scene that was happening in the Cortex. And once Tom and Grant finished their part, Tom would grab this red ball, and behind the scenes, he would throw this ball at Grant. But Grant didn't want to catch the ball because he knew it was going to make noise. He knew it would make noise if he dropped the ball. So every time Tom would throw this ball, Grant would panic because he'd have to catch the ball, because if he didn't catch the ball, it would make noise and the take would be ruined. So, and I just remember standing backstage with them while the scene was still going on, going, is this happening? Is Tom Cavanaugh, our most adult person on set, actually the most, actually like doing this right now? So that was really funny. Like, Tom is just a total jokester and goofball, and he's constantly causing fun trouble.
Yeah, that's hilarious. So now that this chapter is over, what's next? Like, do you have a certain character that you hope to play someday, and who do you want to work with?
Oh, I want to work with everybody. I mean, I have so many. I'm a huge fan of so many different actors, and I want to do so many different genres. There's nothing really specific. I like playing characters that are really flawed. I mean, I think because I've played such a bubbly, fun, kind of lighthearted character, it'd be nice to do something really dramatic after this. At the end of the day, I'm without a job now, so I guess I'll take just about whatever job comes my way.
Okay. So now that you have downtime, what's for right now? I know obviously you said you're gonna go do some jobs and everything, but what are your summer plans?
What are my summer plans?
Yeah.
Is that what you asked? What my summer plans were?
Yeah.
I plan on laying very low and spending a lot of time with my dog, because, like I said, we shot in Vancouver. So for 10 months, I was away from my dog and my home for a very long time. So I'm just gonna chill with her and snuggle her and catch up on a lot of Netflix. And Los Angeles is awesome for hiking. So after I talk to you, I'm gonna go on a big hike with a friend of mine, and just lay low for a while.
There you go. So what do you nerd out about? Is there any fun stuff?
I guess I feel like, every interview people ask me that, and I always say Buffy. I'm a pretty big Buffy fan, and I've met Sarah Michelle Gellar, and that's like those are my biggest freak outs. I nerd out about Buffy, and I nerd out about Queer Eye, the reality show on Netflix. I'm obsessed with the first 2 seasons of Queer Eye, the new one. So I would say those are the 2 things I'm currently geeking out on.
And you mentioned Netflix and everything. What's the next show you're gonna binge on?
Right now, I'm in the middle of watching Catch-22. I want to watch Chernobyl. What else is there that I have been watching? Oh, I've been watching The Office, because I've never seen The Office beginning to end, which is a long commitment. So I'm on season 4 right now. So I have a lot of work to do.
That's interesting. All right. Lastly, how can the fans find you on social media?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram, which I'm just starting to get back into. I'm maybe the world's worst Instagrammer. That's JParkerK3, which I really need to change to Jessica Parker Kennedy, but because I'm the world's worst Instagrammer, I don't know how to do that. So I guess I need to contact the powers that be to make that happen. And then on Twitter, I'm just JParkerK. But I don't really tweet very often, so Instagram is the best way to see what I'm up to and get a hold of me.
All right. I want to thank you for coming on, and I hope we see you again next year on The Flash.
Yeah, I hope there's some magical way that I can come back. That would be the coolest thing ever. I would love that.
Thank you.